What it do? What it do? This is Jalen Prince. We are having one of our exclusive interview specials. Today is joining me today is is one of the premier voices in college sports journalism. He's a graduate of the prestigious Missouri School of Journalism, a Heisman Trophy voter, and the reigning 2024 Alabama Sports Writer of the Year. For years, he has been the eyes and ears on the ground for the Crimson Tide for Crimson Tide fans, first the Tuscaloosa News, and now delivering elite coverage daily for AL.com. From breaking down massive roster shifts to covering the historic transition of the Alabama football program, his award-winning investigative reporting and deep beat insight have made him a must-read across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, two dudes of sports news audience, please welcome the winner of the FWAA, Edward. I'm gonna try to pronounce this right. Oshoff Rising Star Award and Alabama beat writer, Mr. Nick Kelly.
Man, that was a intro. I don't think I could have gotten all that out. So I certainly flattered. Thanks for having me, Jalen.
I really do appreciate your time. I know you. I know you've been busy. Like season's just around the corner. Uh, Basically, how's your summer been so far? How's your summer been so far? Because between Alabama baseball making it to the College World Series and everything prepping up to the new season, just how was your summer? How was your off season so far?
Man, it's gone by quick. Because to your point, it was a long athletics year just because baseball went to the World Series and granted, I did not make the trip to Omaha, but was in OKC for softball and covered the super regional where baseball made it. So it was quite the year. I mean, you talk about covering a playoff team in football, covering a gosh, however basketball make it, Sweet 16 team in basketball. I mean, just all this successful winning that Alabama had. It was quite the year, but ready for a new year, and I'm ready for some actual football, Jalen. I don't know about you, but I'm just itching for some real ball to talk about.
For as long as we've known each other, and I actually got the date. I think we've known each other for about 3 years because we first officially met in 2023. This was when I was working with Tide 100.9 at the time, and this was when I was covering almost every Alabama home basketball game. And I think I don't remember exactly what game it was, but when I first met you, I knew exactly who you were, you and Blake Byler at the time, because I when I first got into the fold, when I first got into the business, it was basically you and Blake being one of being the top two guys to cover or get your information from when it came to Alabama basketball at the time. And then over the years, like I kept asking you for advice, like how does this look? How does this look? So for the bottom of my heart, and I want to give you flowers now, because at this rate, we lost Dolly Parton, we lost Optimus Prime. I want to give you your flowers now before I God knows who the Grim Reaper is going to take, and hopefully nobody else. But from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate everything that you've done for me and for a lot of Alabama fans. But
I
let's get down
appreciate
to
that, Jalen. Well, thank you so much. And no, I hopefully I'm not joining that list anytime soon. But certainly a lot of legends we've lost recently. But
yeah.
no, appreciate you and have always respected your hustle and always enjoy getting to run into you at different events and things.
Lord's will, hopefully I could be able to be one of them people to be able to get up there. But time will tell. But let's get into it. Well, I really want to ask you. You've been doing a lot of interviews with some of the legends, and some of the like hottest stars in journalism at this moment in time. I see that you did an interview with I think with CBS. You've done countless interviews and like conversations with Paul Feinbaum, a friend of mine as well. When you're able to get invited to stuff like that from major networks to be able to talk Alabama football and give your insight, what's usually your preparation? Do you know exactly what you're going to be asked before you step on those shows?
No, I really don't, and that's kind of what makes it fun. You never quite know what you're going to get. Just in the same way that coming on here, I didn't know what you're going to talk to me about, and so you just kind of react to the moment. And I think it makes for better conversation though too, because if you rehearse everything, like it's not legit and it's not authentic. And above anything else, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to be authentic with people. I mean, because that's the thing. If you're not authentic, then who are you being? And so that's my goal. I don't perfect it, but I try to be that and just have fun. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like it's sports. Like we're just having fun. We're just talking. Like you don't know what you're gonna get, but just having fun with it. Like that's usually my goal, and try to enjoy it because all those opportunities are fun. Just like to be able to talk to you, Jalen. Like it's just fun to be able to talk some ball and get a chance to, yeah, just to talk to you in general. It's just an enjoyable guy to talk to.
We're we're one more Saturday away from college football being back. Alabama kicking off the season against East Carolina. You're heavy in the journalism business. You know what this team is. I gotta start off before we get into just like your insight as far as with the team. But do you see, because Keelan Russell won the starting job and Austin Mack has been here for a long time, he followed Kalen DeBoer and them. Do you see like this game just for the first game? How would you describe just the level of intensity, excitement, but also maybe some nervousness with Alabama fans going into this game, even though it's not a marquee matchup?
Yeah, I think eagerness, I would say, is the word that comes to mind, just because I think Alabama fans are eager to see what Keelan Russell can do and what they can do. I mean, there's been so much talk about Alabama. There usually is, but there's been so much, I think, flack that they've gotten, and a lot of people doubting them. I think these players are ready to kind of respond to that and not talk about it and do something on the field. And I think fans are ready for the same. See what they can do, show what they can do, and it should be fun. Even though, yeah, it shouldn't be a good game. I do think it's just going to be interesting to see this version of the Crimson Tide.
You recently highlighted Keelan Russell winning the starting job, the Duncanville native. How much did his standalone performance in the 8A scrimmage game after Coach DeBoer's timeline for naming a starter? What unique dynamic does he bring compared to Austin Mack?
I think it's his playmaking. Like that word is getting overused. It's a buzzword, but the dude makes plays. I mean, that's the simplest way to sum him up. Like he can do things on schedule. I mean, I think his command of the offense and his ability to run the offense the way that Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb want it ran is why, in part, he won the job. He made strides in that area. But the thing that makes Keelan special is how he can make things maybe out of nothing, or at least what looks to be nothing, where he can run the offense in an exciting way. And if a play breaks down, he can move. He's got quickness. And the other thing is too, Jalen, people have to account for him on the ground. I don't foresee them running him a bunch because you want to protect him. But at the same time, you can use him as a threat. Like that's the biggest thing. It's not that he needs to run all the time. It's just the threat of him running, or the threat of him just taking 7 to 10 yards, getting you that first down. Like that is something that defenses have to account for, that is not easy to account for, because you kind of can account for most other guys. Like you can account for each lineman, you can account for the running back, the receivers. But when the quarterback can take off in a minute's notice, then you can start designating guys to kind of get in his way and stop him. So to me, it's more what he brings as a threat than it is they're going to run him, 15, 20 times a game or something like that. So I think it creates a really interesting dynamic to the offense that a lot of quarterbacks can't bring.
My philosophy is this when it comes to talking Alabama football going into 2026. I have felt like it does not matter who won the starting quarterback position. If Alabama does not have an effective running game, offensive line play, running back play, if Alabama does not have an effective run game, Alabama will not succeed at all this season. What is your takeaway on that?
It's a great point, because I think we saw what happened when they tried to put a lot on Ty Simpson's shoulders, and he was beat up and battered and bruised, and he was having to do so much because he had no ground game, which then also means defenses can tee off. Like if they know you're not going to run the football or not going to run it effectively, well, then you can have edge rushers, pass rushers pin their ears back and just go. And that's a tough spot to be as a quarterback when you don't have to get the defense guessing too much. And so, yeah, that's why I think you saw the offense sputter toward the end of the season. So, yeah, Keelan Russell needs more support. I also think just because he's a younger guy and they asked a lot of Ty Simpson to run that offense. That's a lot to ask a new starting quarterback who's just a sophomore. So get him time, get him a ground game, get him receivers, tight ends who can catch the ball quickly and get him out of trouble. Like all those things are important. It all works together, makes life a whole lot easier when it's not all on the quarterback.
But wasn't that the same problem even like Kalen DeBoer's first year here? Because it feels like we're seeing a trend. So even like we're in year three, the Kalen DeBoer era, and Jalen Milroe at the time he was off to a hot start. He was a Heisman Trophy candidate at the beginning of the season, but then everything started to tail off from the middle to the end. We're not like we didn't see consistent good quarterback play. Same thing with Ty Simpson. Started off hot, was a Heisman candidate at the time, but then started teetering middle to late in the season. Are we starting to see a pattern here simply because the run game and the offensive line play has not been consistent? Are we seeing that pattern? Have you seen that pattern?
It's a good question. I don't know if we can draw that tie or say that that's a trend. I mean, maybe defenses are figuring out the offense as the year goes on. And so then when they do that, you have to be able to have a counter punch. And I don't know that Alabama's had that counter punch is the problem. Now I will say, I mean, Jalen and Ty are such different quarterbacks. And your namesake was fantastic running football. But he made some mental mistakes. Like I think that Oklahoma game really, I mean, like they were going to make the playoff if they just take care of business against Oklahoma, even with the Vanderbilt gaff. Like, and unfortunately, he just wasn't on his game, and he got off his game in that one, and so, and obviously he made some electric throws too. It's not that they couldn't throw the football, but I do think that yeah, they needed him to be a little bit better, and they didn't quite get it. And then Ty a year ago, I mean, he was fantastic. He won them probably an extra game or two than they would have won if they didn't have good quarterback play. But again, he got so beat up, and at a certain point, when he was kind of the only threat, or a certain way that they ran the offense was the only real threat, and they couldn't counter that, and they couldn't offer something else when the defenses started to adjust to that. That's when you maybe see some of that. But then again, like let's not forget, they beat Oklahoma in the playoff. I mean, that was a really good defense. They went on the road and won that game.
Yeah.
So that's where I would fight back. Like no doubt, like Ty did not finish the year as strong. So I'm not saying he did. Um, and Jalen obviously had some really good moments, and especially in the second half of the year too. He had some really good moments. I mean, look at the LSU game. He single handedly beat LSU pretty much. Um, but yeah, as far as is it a trend? I don't know about that. I just you kind of have to I think take your microscope out and look at each one circumstantially and just kind of see. And but you can learn from it. You can learn from it. Kalen DeBoer can learn from it how they manage it. But I think it is going to be really important for whenever defenses maybe figure out this offense a little bit that Ryan Grubb can figure out some counters, and that's where having a run game and a pass game is really helpful.
Let's go into the roster construction. We saw a lot of guys hit the portal. That like when elsewhere we brought a lot of guys in, and you mentioned how yeah we beat Oklahoma, but we also know how the season ended, and that was just too much for Ty. And then later on, it kind of caught up to him. But we saw in that Rose Bowl game against the eventual national champions in Indiana Hoosiers, we saw us for the first time get beat up, get manhandled, get bullied. Basically, it felt like the everything that Alabama used to be was more Indiana, and everybody else that was us. But have you seen from the roster construction? Because the defense has gotten bigger, the offensive line looks bigger. What have you seen as far as like this offseason with the key additions and the roster construction?
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. They look to build a different front, essentially. You look at the defensive line. They very intentionally try to get more size there, try to get some bigger dudes, and get some more talent there too. Let's just be frank. Like their defensive line last year before, I mean, last few years, Jalen like has not been elite, has not been intimidating, has not been a group that teams have just no answer for. You look at Oklahoma a year ago. Now, granted, Alabama beat them, so it sounds kind of funny I'm bringing this up, but their defensive line was incredible. I mean, they just had waves of guys that could give you problems. So if they can get back to that, and I think they have made an effort to do that. Devin Tompkins, Terrence Green, Kedrick Bingley Jones from Mississippi State. Like these are some guys that are experienced and have some good size. So I'm really encouraged by the defensive line. I think the staff is too. Then you look at the offensive line. They have a much different looking group there. And they may be getting to more of what Kalen DeBoer wants in an offensive line, what fits them. And you look at Jackson Lloyd. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he's a good at least 40 pounds lighter than Caden Proctor. That's going to allow him to do some things that Caden Proctor maybe couldn't do.
How much is that important is with this offense that Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb wants to do, like as far as that size and that mobility factor, from the offensive line perspective?
Yeah, I think it's helpful. Like they like I think a athletic center. I mean, that's why Parker Brailsford was good in their offense, and that's why I think they think Racing Delgatti can be good in their offense. I also just think that in this day and age, you don't need the biggest offensive line. You want the most athletic offensive line, and you want a group that can move people. So the strongest and most athletic. How about that? Just go find those guys. Make it easy for you. Go find the strongest and most athletic offensive line. Um, and obviously, it's not easy to do that. Everyone wants O lineman. Everyone probably is not satisfied with their O line. But I think Alabama took some positive steps. And Michael Carroll and Jackson Lloyd, I remember talking to some people, Jalen, before they even got on campus, how excited they were about those two. So we're going to see both of them. I think it in some good spots for them, and we'll see kind of how that progresses.
Key injuries. Noah Rogers. I believe he's not out for the season, but I think you can explain as far as like his timetable or supposedly by the coaches. Lottie Brooks, Lazier Brooks. He's been dinged up this offseason with a few injuries. Haven't seen that much from him, from my perspective. Injury wise, just talk about the level of concern going into the season. Like what should Bama fans have to worry about for the most part as far as going to that? What can they expect as far as like folks potentially coming back? What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely dealing with a few injuries, that's for sure. So they're a little banged up, and some guys that unfortunately Jeremiah Beeman was season ending. But I guess the good news, if you want to look at it glass half full, is so far he's the only season ending injury that they've had, even though they've had a lot of guys who've gone down. Unfortunately, I will say none of the guys who've gone down, I don't want to say they're irreplaceable. Basically, Alabama has other options there, is the best way to say it. Would you like these guys? Heck yeah. I mean, obviously, Latsier Brooks, like he should be fine. He should be back. And whenever they can get EJ Crowell back and get him rolling, that'll be great. But yeah, like Jair Edwards was probably going to be maybe the number 2 safety at one spot and was going to help out a lot. But for the time being, he's on the shelf. But they're stacked in the secondary. Like they've had several secondary injuries, but they have so many guys there. If you can afford injuries, it's there. Running back, you don't like losing AK Deer for a bit, but I think you can weather that storm hopefully until he can get back, because I think between Trayshawn Brown and EJ Crowell, like those two could be studs as freshmen. And then Daniel Hill will help as well as kind of that big bruising back. So yeah, injuries, no doubt, but at the same time, I think that you can weather these storms, so to speak.
There's one name you didn't mention, and he's a Tuscaloosa native, and Kevin Riley. Why are not a lot of folks talking about him?
Yeah, I just think that he hasn't necessarily had a standout camp compared to the others. Like he's been okay. I've heard his name mentioned some, but not as much as you see other guys mentioned, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah,
look, I don't get to watch much practice at all.
yeah.
Very minimal is what I've seen. So I go off what I hear, and so I go off what people mention. I mean, so a few people highlight him in the scrimmage, like or scrimmage or two, but again, just my interpretation, Jalen, is that I think Daniel Hill, Trayshawn Brown have probably had better camps. And AK Deer was having a really good camp too before he got hurt.
Let's talk about this receiving core. Obviously, the big elephant in the room, Ryan Coleman Williams. He's had a busy off season. Changed his name, just trying to get back right.
And his
You
number.
Yeah, and his number because I think he wore number one back when he was in Saraland. So I remember you talked about him, and so you would be surprised if he did not play up to the standards in which this team needs him to play at. What is your expectations for Ryan Coleman Williams and the rest of the receiving core?
Yeah, I always shocked if he doesn't have a great year. I mean, he really has worked hard this offseason. People have raved about him behind the scenes. Like he's in a position to be able to crush it. I mean, really. I think he's worked on his hands, trying to minimize those drops. Not that he's going to catch every single thing, but I think he's made improvement there. So again, if there's anyone, if you had to ask me, Jalen, who's one guy who's going to have a great year that I'm the most confident in, it's Ryan. So we'll see how his connection is with Keelan, but I have no reason to believe it won't be really good. So I think Ryan's in a position to have a great year. Then yeah, Brooks getting him back healthy. I think if he can replicate what he did in the Oklahoma game, that'd be really good for this offense. You look at Derek Meadows, a guy who I think brings some size, and he didn't really have much in the receiving production category as a freshman, but I think he could do some really nice things. And then kind of the wild cards, really, Jalen, are Rico Scott and Sadarian Morgan. Because Sadarian Morgan, I mean, looks like he'd be a dude. He's a freshman. And I think he can help this offense, but how much and to what extent, we'll kind of see. And Rico Scott has some really good speed, and we're kind of waiting to see what he can do. So it's a fascinating group overall.
Talk to me about Meadows. I still can't figure him out. I know he's 6'5", he's a big body, but rather than just be the whole conventional, hey, we got him in the red zone, we just throw it up to him. Like, what does he bring? What are some folks may not seen yet, or possibly could look forward to in his game from maybe what you've seen and what you've heard from coaches and other players?
Yeah, I don't know too specifically because, again, I haven't seen much of him, but I just know that he's made plays and he's that big body that can go and do things for you and win games or win balls and win catches that are contested. So you've seen a lot of big, or not a lot, but you've seen big receivers succeed in this offense before. See Rome Odunze at Washington. I'm not saying that Derek Meadows will be Rome Odunze, but that'd be pretty great if he was, or even three-quarters of the way there. But you've seen big receivers succeed in this offense, and I think that's a good sign for someone like that who they really like and have heard good things about.
What's been your impression of the new wide receivers coach and the new offensive line coach? Because that's been a conversation as far as with the coaching staff this year.
Yeah, Derek Nix. I think he brings some good things. I haven't got to see him coach as much. I was when you kind of again get limited practice time, you kind of just pick and choose a few spots. But I think he's a sharp guy. I mean, he's been in a lot of places. He's coached some good receivers. He's coached. He's been an OC before. Like he's got some good things he can offer that group, and so I think early reviews are good on him. Adrian Clem, I watched a little closer myself at practice, at least one day, and man, he gets after it. Like they talk about bringing physicality and intensity to that group. I think it comes down from their head coach, just because I remember one play, Jalen, where not even a play, but a rep and a drill, because we're seeing individual drills where he didn't like the rep that someone did. So he hopped in and he basically, he's talking to him like this. And he hops in and he's like, and you want to, I don't know what he said, but essentially like, he's like, and then you want to do this. And then he shivered the walk on and the walk on went flying like 5-6 feet. So it was, I mean, again, he's getting after it, and he was coaching a lot. So I think he brings an intensity and physicality to that group that should essentially have a ripple effect with the room.
Let's get to the defensive side. I think this side is where I'm most excited about, primarily because of, as we mentioned earlier, about just the size at front with Terrence Green, with Devin Tompkins, London Simmons going into a second year under this defense. I'm excited about him. Obviously, the big name Yanze Pierre changed his number, and he's potentially could go into a year where he could really boost up his draft stock and have a successful year. But I really want to talk with you as far as just talk about that construction of the defense, how it's going, how you feel like it will look, as well as just the strengths or different strengths or maybe concerns or things to really possibly question with the defense. Because on paper and from what we've seen from players last year, this could be the best defense Alabama's had in a very, very long time in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's very possible this is an elite defense because let's start with the secondary. You have to feel really good about what you have there. I mean, Mo Linguist, Jason Jones, like they've built a group that is in a phenomenal spot. You have depth, you have so much talent. Like their biggest problem is how the heck did they get all these guys in the field? I mean, even Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., I don't quite know where he fits.
He's had a really good offseason.
Yeah, he's had a really good offseason. He's made plays. He had his interception in each scrimmage. Like he's finding a role. Like, I mean, they're going to have to find a role for him. Ivan Taylor had a great offseason. I mean, just look up and down. And of course, Jaira Edwards and Jordan Edmonds are dealing with some injuries, but those two freshmen have been studs for them coming in early. So feel great about the secondary. Linebackers, like you said, Yanze Pierre, they're set. It's kind of who emerges that number 2 rusher, maybe number 3. Devin Tompkins is on the defensive line, but I think he's a top contender to be like end of the year. We look at sack numbers. He could be up there. But also don't sleep on Xavier Griffin, the true freshman. Like he could do some nice things off the edge. They've compared him to Jahad Campbell from basically day one. So that's an exciting player to have, a nice piece to have as he learns how to play college football. And then, Justin Hill's developing. They brought in Desmond Umazulu from South Carolina, who's a veteran there. So they've got some options. We'll see kind of who rises from that group. Jamari Latham, see how he factors in. They call him Zebo is his nickname. And then defensive line, like I talked about. I mean, I think they feel great about that group. Inside linebacker, we're kind of intrigued to see what happens there. Caleb Woodson, brought in from Virginia Tech, should do some nice things for them. I think he'll be a leader for them on defense. Next to him, Luke Matz will be the starter to start, and we'll kind of see how he does. I mean, I think it's not a huge question mark, but it's certainly a spot where you just, hey, let's kind of watch this, see what happens. So, but overall, though, Jalen, I mean, the defense I feel more confident in, and I feel like I know more what to expect than I do the offense right now.
What about kicker, real quick?
Yeah. I mean, I think Lorcan Quinn and Connor Talty have had good camps, but Lorcan Quinn, I think, was one of their best portal additions. So I'm confident we'll see Lorcan Quinn. To what capacity we see Connor Talty remains to be seen. I do think there's a very legitimate possibility we see them both where they split duties. So keep an eye out for that, but I'm eager to see Lorcan Quinn's leg because I think he's got a real boot on him.
Let's go ahead and finish it off. A couple more questions, mainly about the schedule and just like how the playoff picture could possibly look. I know it's early in the season, but you said in a recent interview that you're thinking 9-3. Why?
Yeah, I don't have enough certainty around what this team can do just yet. Offensively, there's just so many question marks. Am I optimistic? Sure, but they have to prove it. As you mentioned, I went to school at Missouri. That's in the show me state. They have to show me before I fully believe in this offense. So before I would say they're going to be a 10-2 or 11-1 team or something like that, I would need to see more that give me confidence about this offense. It's also just really hard to do that in this day and age in the SEC. So I think that my assessment, I'm still trying to figure out which games. I think they win a game or two that maybe they shouldn't, in that it's a really tough game, say Georgia at home, or even Texas A&M at home could be a handful, or LSU on the road. So maybe they win one or two of those games that would be signature wins, but I still think that they maybe lose a game they're not supposed to, just because we've seen that the first couple of years. Yeah. And so let's just say in that stretch from Georgia to Tennessee to A&M to LSU, let's just say they win two of those games. Hey, you're in a great spot, because I think they win the rest of the schedule after that. But there's a chance they drop one of their first five, because even though I think they should win all five of those games, you just can't count it automatically. And South Carolina, that's a team to watch as a potential trap game.
Yeah. Dylan Stewart, Lenore Sellers. I think they still got Nick Harbor over there. Yeah, that's still gonna be a tough bunch.
And more importantly, Jalen, South Carolina believes they can beat Alabama.
Well, yeah,
they give them a run for their money in back-to-back years.
Yes,
they've been super close games, and so you have that belief. You combine it with some talented players, Alabama could have its hands full.
Do you think a 3-loss Alabama team makes it into the playoff?
It depends. It depends on what the record is.
True.
I should say it depends on who they beat and who they lost to. I mean, that's where I'm like, that they can maybe make it as last team in. But that's where basically, if they want to make the playoff, they need to somehow find a way to eliminate one of those losses I mentioned. So do they make it in? Maybe, maybe not. Uh, but can they win one more game and eliminate that doubt? I think it's very possible.
What games are you circling the most on the schedule?
I mean, Georgia's the natural one, right? That home game, and in a lot of ways has been a way for Kalen DeBoer to establish, like, hey, we're legit. Like, this is not, we're not lying down kind of thing. Especially this past season where it was all doom and gloom after Florida State. So I'm circling the Georgia game. I'm circling the Tennessee game. I still can't figure out how good Tennessee's going to be,
That's a good question on that
but
one. Yes.
Bama's lost back-to-back games in Knoxville.
Yep.
So that's something, and it's a tough place to play. Like, I did a kind of unscientific player survey at SEC Media Days, Jalen, and I asked, I think like 20 some guys, like, what's the toughest place to play in the SEC that's not your stadium? Neyland Stadium came out on top. I mean, that is a tough place to play.
It
Um,
doesn't surprise. It doesn't surprise me on that one. Not to mention, especially this year with God rest her soul, Dolly Parton passing. You can't tell me like then like that game third Saturday in October. They'll do some. I feel like Tennessee's going to do some tributes, right? Like definitely before then, but we still remember the last time we was there. She was there along with Peyton and them. So that's why I kind of like give that some leeway. But that's just my thing about it. What would at the end of I don't know how to word this right with because I want to end it here.
okay.
What do you not going to do believe, but realistically, what do you think we will say or folks will say about Alabama football mid-season?
That is a good question. I've not been asked that one yet, Jalen. Um, you know what? It's season of optimism. Everyone's undefeated. I'll say that. So I'll go glass half full here, Jalen. I think that people will be saying that Keelan Russell is a superstar, that Alabama is a contender, and that people overlooked them in the preseason. So I think I'll say that. Doesn't mean they're going to win a national championship. Doesn't mean they couldn't stumble in the second half of the year. But I think that's what people will be saying once they get to see Keelan Russell play.
Appreciate it as always. Again, this is award-winning Nick Kelly. Nick, thank you so much for your time. Hey, I'll see you either later on this week or next week. Enjoy it. Football season is back. Have fun doing what you do. But also, you're a newlywed, ain't you?
A little over 2 years now. So I might be out of the newlywed, I guess, range, but not too far. Not too far.
Hey, but enjoy. Hey, enjoy the happiness. Enjoy the family, dog. Appreciate
I
you, man.
appreciate it, Jalen. Thanks, my friend.
Yes, sir.